No, they don't have it yet, because Funimation have it, but they're playing in the libraries.
Oh, of course.
But I have watched them, there was no
Is it any good?
Speed Racer. I was pretty pissed when I
that's
decided to watch it.
terrible.
And it was incredible.
Right, anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, episode 5. I'm your host, Lewis Gibson, and I'm joined once again with my good friends Kyle.
Hello.
And Gonzalo.
Hi.
So today's episode, after last week we had talked about the biggest film out and one of the biggest names in cinema, Batman. We thought we'd kind of take it a different direction this week, and we're going to be talking about hidden gems of the 21st century. These are films that we think don't get enough recognition or have barely been talked about. That's how the show is going to go today. At part 1, we're obviously going to be talking about the hidden gems thing, and then the second part of the show, Kyle's got plenty of news to give us this week, and then in the third part of the show, we're going to round out our discussion of the hidden gems part of the show, and then finally, we're going to finish off with some reviews of Red Rocket, the Adam Project, The Phantom of the Open, and Pixar's latest, Turning Red. Okay, does that sound good with you guys?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, who will I pick to go first, actually, as host? Who do I want to talk about? Their hidden gem first?
Aren't you?
I'm not going to say myself.
That would be a plot twist.
That would be a plot twist, but I'm not that egotistical, and I think I'm going to give it to... Okay, alright. Gonzalo, what is your first...
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, my issue here is that I doubt my movies are going to be as French and unknown as yours, Lewis, because I know you, and I know you're going to give us movie titles I probably will have never heard of in my entire life. But, okay, to start off with, I got 3 picks, because you asked me to pick 3, and it was really tough. But I'm going to start with one of, my most, I guess, controversial picks. So basically, my pick is 2007's Across the Universe. So this is directed by Julie Taymor, and it's kind of like a jukebox musical, a take on a jukebox musical, because it's a musical that uses all the actual songs from the Beatles to tell a story about a bunch of teenagers and young adults growing up during the whole Lost Generation, Vietnam War kind of era in the United States and the United Kingdom. It's a very weird movie, but also one I really enjoy. Of course, the music is amazing because the Beatles, and they do some really good adaptations of some of their songs. They have a star-studded cast, like you have actual musicians popping in and out to play cameos in some of the songs, and it's just a very interesting film. It manages to introduce a lot of ideas and a lot of different plot elements that some get resolved and some not. I don't think that's a weakness, though, because it feels very much like real life. Like, things just happen and they go in several directions and sometimes they lead nowhere. And it focuses mostly on the relationship between the protagonist, Jude, and Lucy, an American girl that he falls in love with. It's just a really good movie. It's got some fun bits, some sad bits, some incredibly melodramatic bits, and some weird drug trippy bits. But I definitely recommend it. It's
nice.
one of
I want to ask, actually, since this is hidden gems.
Yeah.
I want to ask, how did you come across it?
That's good.
I would like to know.
Yes, this was actually quite a fun story because my family and I, when we were young, we basically, when I was young, we basically used to go around, bargain bins and look for DVDs. And you always get piles of DVDs and stuff, and we'd pick one up, and then we'd watch it that weekend and see if it was a good movie. My dad saw the DVD and read that it was based on the Beatles. The cover is absolutely horrendous, honestly, and it looks weird as all heck. It makes sense after you watch the movie, but it's a completely awful cover to attract someone's attention. And we all thought it was going to be awful. And then we watched it, and we actually really enjoyed it. To the point where I think my dad must have played it several times to anyone who came home that year. So yeah.
I noticed when you told me about this film, I was curious. I was like, I've actually never heard of this film. So I looked up, and actually, what's interesting is critically it's quite split. Yeah. It was like, why do you think it didn't work for some people if you're selling this film?
Okay, so I can understand it because storytelling wise, it's a bit muddled. It drags in some places when it comes to the plot progression, but it's a very kind of like artsy movie in the sense that lots of the parts of the film are just there for, I guess, some sort of just more emotional effect than actual convenience to the plot or advancing any one story or anything. I don't know. Honestly, not everyone likes musicals.
Oh, fair. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's an odd movie, honestly, because it manages to be very realistic and serious and incredibly out there and wacky at the same time. I like it. I'm personally a big fan, and I think if you like musicals, or even if you just like the Beatles, you should give it a go. Because worst case scenario, you're gonna see some nice new arrangements of songs you like. Best case scenario, you'll find a new favorite movie.
Oh, wow.
That's a good way to put it.
Is it one of your favorites, Schnabel?
I don't know. I don't really have a favorite movie because I feel like it's too concrete. But it is certainly one of my go-to movies when I want to watch something with someone.
Okay, yeah. So, Kyle, what is your first pick?
My first pick?
Yes.
Right, okay.
This better not be a long-winded joke, I swear to God.
No, I was just actually trying to... I was trying to think of it. So, Morbius 2022. No. My first pick is... Shit, when did it come out?
You're breaking the rules of the 21st century.
I forgot. Oh my god! I just forgot.
That is generally the thing that got me like spinning around because I kept choosing movies and then googling them and then realizing they came before the 2000s.
Oh, right.
He's safe, guys. It was in the 2000s.
Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, which came out in 2004.
What? That is one of my favorite films.
I mean,
that's crazy. So much enthusiasm for this film.
So, so Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow it's a really bonkers film. So it's basically this film that's set in a pre-World War II diesel punk retrofuturism sort of world in New York, right?
Right.
Where basically, now this plot, I remember it being simple, but it's not. It's absolutely bonkers. Basically, these giant robots start invading New York. Well, actually, they're invading the entire world. And the whole thing is, and this has got quite a cast, I would like to point out. So we got Jude Law as the titular Sky Captain, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie, and others. So
I'm not listing off the whole cast.
Wow, others. Love that actor.
So, but this film is bonkers because the director, Kerry something. Kerry.
Kerry. No, let me see it. Who is it?
Actually, I can't.
Kerry Conran. Yeah, that's not hard.
To be honest, I was actually misreading. I was reading him for some reason. I was reading the actor who plays Dax. So Kerry Conran, he spent 4 years creating a trailer for this because
what?
Yeah, seriously, because this film, for anyone who's seen it, will know that it's 99% CGI. Mm-hmm. It's very much Sin City, right?
Yeah, it's a green screen movie.
Yeah, it's just a green screen movie. And it works because they put the noir kind of filter over it. Yeah. Like, because it's very much a noir film. It's more noir than the Batman, to be perfectly honest. It's like
more very classic.
It's so classic noir, and it's
all tinted sepia, isn't it? The entire movie.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, I think helps the 2004 CGI. Mm-hmm. It's
definitely,
and it's such a ridiculous story because this is honestly a story that could have been serialized over the radio in the 1930s. Like it's so funny and it's just a lot of fun, really. Okay. Does it hold up? I attempted to watch it last night, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't finish it because it just I wasn't a child.
Really selling it,
but it's a hidden gem. I think it's a hidden gem for a first time watch.
Okay,
I have a similar issue with the other films that I'm going to talk about, where I don't think they age well as I have grown up. But Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, it's gone forgotten. and it's just fun. It's a
Okay.
fun film, and I think anybody who hasn't seen it should give it a shot for its very unique filming. Like, it's very unique way it was being filmed. Like, I don't think
So-
if you compare it from Sin City, I don't think you've had a CGI noir film like this. It's very much
So just because of the really creative and bonkers aesthetic, you think it's worth a watch?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's so rough. I mean, it's
Do you have anything to add to that, Gonzalo? You said it's one of
you
your
watched-
favorites.
Yeah. So this was actually going to be in my list, and then I decided it was too similar to the things I had to say about Speed Racer, so I just took it out.
Oh, spoilers.
But have you seen the first Hulk movie, the early 2000s one?
Yes.
yeah, the Ang Lee one.
Yeah. Do you know those moments where like it just turns into a comic book for a second there?
The paneling effect.
Uh-huh.
Like, extend that for an entire movie and that's Sky Captain. It just feels like a comic book. It's got like weird, like you see at the start, like it's the whole montage. You see like the different like stock numbers going through the top of the screen as you cut through different, like it's incredibly bonkers. And I feel like the Wachowski sisters, when doing Speed Racer, took a lot of inspiration from this one because it came a little bit before that one. And the way it just, it's just a creative dump, and I love creative dumps because it might not be perfect, it might have a lot of issues, but I agree with Kyle. This is definitely a hidden gem.
Yeah, it does have a lot of issues, and
A lot of issues.
I mean, yeah, I was checking. Like, I don't think the director did much after this. If I'm right.
Yeah, the name doesn't really
Yeah,
ring a bell.
the last thing he directed was actually a film called Gundrop, which was a 6-minute short. It was his first and last featured film. It was Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Wait, do you know, Gonzalo, was it a box office bomb? Was it?
I don't know. I'm assuming it was, because that is another one of those films I found at a sale bin. So
I mean, we didn't get a sequel, so I'm gonna.
yeah.
And he didn't go on to make another big film.
So
really.
budget of 70 million. Now,
Okay.
it's reported a budget of 70 million, but when I'm doing research, I actually found an interview with the director that calls this absolute rubbish.
Oh, really?
He said in an interview, he was like, I see reports of it being 70 million, and I would like to see a receipt that says it was 70 million. He feels it was more in the range of, I believe it was 20 to.
Wow.
I'm assuming they might have
Someone's committing budget
spent
fraud.
some money on the stars. Honestly,
Just
they might have
Kevin
like
Feige,
spent the
wasn't
rest of it on
it?
the actual actors.
And worldwide gross was 57 million. So I don't think it made it. Didn't. If he was thinking it was 20 to
even if
50,
it was-
it just broke budget. But as we know, take the budget, double it.
Yeah.
It didn't break even.
That's a shame.
Um,
That is a shame.
But yeah, so that was my first hidden gem.
Very good, very good.
Nice.
Well, I'm going
Nice
to go for
pick.
one that came out in 2016. Stars Adam Driver, and it was directed by Jim Jarmusch. It's this really small little film called Patterson. You guys heard of it? Do you know?
No, never heard of it.
No. Well, Patterson is, it's kind of plotless in a way. So Adam Driver plays Patterson, who lives in Patterson, and he's a bus driver. He's also a very big fan of poetry, and on his lunch breaks and things, he observes his surroundings in the world and takes note of conversations he's heard during his work, and he writes poetry about it, and the poetry comes to life for us, like the words show up on screen in his handwriting, and he narrates it to us in Adam Driver's lovely voice. But yeah, he does have a very good voice, and that's the thing. Like, Adam Driver's playing this really calm, still, meditative character who is very different to everything you know him from. Like, Kylo Ren's this big, emotional, shouty man.
Girls.
And what?
Do you know in that Some Girls? What's that TV show he's in?
Yeah, you're right.
Is it
Girls.
is it called Girls?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Or like something like Marriage Story, where he's bursting out and shouting at Scarlett Johansson and all that. He's really this really still, calm man. And what's so good about it is it's like this other film, Columbus, which I've talked to Kyle about before. Oh, he's rolling his eyes. Which is this very still, peaceful film, and I just love that stuff. I love this film that's not just about. It's just about, I guess, creating art, but for yourself. Creating for yourself and producing it from within. And it's not for everyone, obviously. It's strange at the same time as it being this really, like, sweet, peaceful film. Every night Patterson walks his dog and he goes to this bar for like one drink, and all these like strange characters show up. It's a really like uncanny film, but in terms of like a traditional plot, it doesn't really have it. It's this kind of just going about Patterson's daily life, and there is kind of a climax in a sense at the end. There's a scene where he meets another poetry fan at this park bench, and it's this really nice exchange between him and this tourist. And even just the shot setup of that is beautiful. It's so still. It's really well photographed. But even that, it's just about a really humble film as well. It's sort of taking pride in your own work and not really, being ashamed of it either. It's definitely just a really different and really sweet film. That, like I said, not for everyone, but absolutely, I think you can get a lot out of it if you check out. I think it's on Mubi right now. It was on Amazon Prime, but if you have the streaming service Mubi, it's on that.
Nice.
So would you describe it as like this kind of film that's like a snapshot of a life, I guess?
Yes, it is. There's also like his wife, who he lives in this very like small house, just him and his wife, and she's like a painter as well. And it's really just kind of it's just so nice, just sort of this very short insight into this man's life, and just this really way he appreciates every nuance of day-to-day life. And there's so much to say and there's so much not to say about it in that way. There's also kind of not really much to spoil actually, because doesn't really have a very traditional plot. But Patterson's one that I feel like if you just want to like have a really calm, nice experience, Patterson is that film.
Sounds fantastic.
That's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Speed Racer.
We're waiting for Speed Racer.
Okay, I'll do Speed Racer next. So, Speed Racer is exactly the opposite of Patterson. It's big, it's bombastic, it's loud, and it's colorful. We were discussing this before we started the show, but for me, it's very much like it's based, by the way, it's a story based on a really old anime about a kid who races. It's all very wacky and stuff, and it feels like the movie takes that and just dials it up to 11. This is a feast for the eyes and the ears. The CGI is incredibly awful. In the best way, because it's not trying to be realistic. It's trying to be cartoony and exaggerated. You get, during the races, the heads of the commentators just swapping through the screen as the races go on. It's just a wacky film about a wacky future where racing is very important. But the key that this film has to me is that I don't want to spoil much of the actual plot. But for me, the thing that this just lifts this movie up higher is the heart. It's a movie that is sincere. It's a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve. It's about passion. It's about family, and it's about the industry that you're passionate about trying to destroy you. And it's amazing. For me, it feels like the Wachowski sisters' best movie. I haven't mentioned it came out 2008.
Uh-huh.
I would say, yeah, by far. I enjoy the Matrix movies. They're really good. But for me, it's definitely their best movie as a combined effort. I haven't seen all of their offshoot films. It's incredible. It came out in 2008, literally on the same day that Dark Knight came out, so you can see,
and that's what destroyed it.
Yeah,
you can see why it was overshadowed, because Dark Knight is a really good film, and audiences are way more primed to see something gritty and realistic than to be taken into this ride of this really wacky kind of thing. It's a movie that takes effort to get into. Yeah, it is Batman. But yeah, it is a movie that it takes a lot of effort to actually get into. You have to put yourself into a mood to actually, just allow this movie to take you for a ride. If you're hesitant, you're not going to enjoy it, because there's a big wall of just reality between you and the movie. And unless you break through that, you're never going to really enjoy it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is this the follow-up film they did from the Wachowskis did from the Matrix trilogy? Is this did they do anything in between?
I don't think it's a
okay,
sequel.
let me check. Let me check.
It could be.
But
It's
I
crazy.
think this is the next one. Yeah. So they did Bound, then they did the Netflix trilogy, and After Revolutions, which it came out 2003. In 2008, they made Speed Racer.
Wow.
Yeah, and after
5
that it
years
was
ago.
Cloud Atlas and all that stuff. So yeah, it was literally their next movie after The Matrix. And it shows because they knew how to direct at that point, and they did amazing. I feel like the way you feel speed in this movie is very, very quite incredible. You feel the tension of all the races, and again, racing itself has a lot to do with the actual plot. But overall, the story of the movie is that it's about being passionate about something. And they do equate racing to art a lot throughout the movie, and it feels like the Wachowski sisters just like telling their story of passion through this really wacky and cartoony and colorful kind of world. I really enjoy it. Definitely a recommendation. There's one thing that I don't like, and that's the subplot with the brother and the monkey. But apart from that, yeah, that's not the wackiest thing in the movie, by the way.
Yeah, it's strange. After The Matrix, the Wachowskis really had a very strange career. They never really found their foot again in terms of like big success. They always did massive, big budget films that were, not really critical or commercial hits again. Even though you mentioned Cloud Atlas, that's kind of another underrated film for me. I actually quite enjoyed Cloud Atlas.
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was. It's obviously it's based off the book, but which also does this weird like reincarnation stuff and like across different timelines, like you're jumping from like the 1700s to like the year 3000 or something. I can't really remember. It's been ages since I've seen Cloud Atlas. But I actually kind of liked Cloud Atlas. Yeah, that's quite a good one actually. So.
Oh, it's a shame they
I feel like
it's a shame.
Yeah.
Hey, Matrix
like the
Resurrection.
only
I got some. Hey, Matrix Resurrection. No, you shut up. It was better than
was-
Scream. The new Scream in my
I
eyes,
haven't
in
seen
terms
it
of
yet.
like talking about
I
reboot
have
culture and
not
all
seen
that.
it
It was the action wasn't
Honestly,
great,
though.
but.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we're getting sidetracked. Matrix Resurrections was okay, and I got some fun out of it. All right. Anyway, Kyle.
Yeah, since Kyle talked about the whole idea of like the Sky Captain and stuff, it's a very similar movie in the way that it's more form over function, and I think that's not a thing we see in big budget movies anymore, and it's a thing I enjoy. It might be crazy, might be risky, but I like when things get wacky. That's a big fan of wacky. So yeah, sorry,
Wonderful.
Kyle.
Two wacky films.
If we get one
email.
email asking for it, we'll do a commentary. We'll all get together. We'll
dear.
do a commentary of Speed Racer.
Okay, what was your second pick?
My second pick is a film that oh shit, what was it? Oh yes, sorry. It's
3 films, guys. It's not hard.
it's in my head. It's The Way Back.
The Way Back.
Now, The Way
Way
Back
Back.
is from 2013. It is directed by the Dean from Community. I forget his name.
Isn't it?
Oh my god, I forgot his
Parsons?
name. Yeah, it's actually him.
Jim Parsons.
I think it might be. It's actually
Might
him
be.
and another guy, Nate.
Jim Rash,
Nat-
close.
Yeah. So
Jim
it's
Rash.
Nat,
Nat Faxon.
Yeah, Nat Faxon and Jim Rash, who
Yeah.
direct, write, and star in very minor roles in this film. And this film is basically about this kid, Duncan, who's about 13, and he's going to stay with his mum's boyfriend and the family at their summer house, their beach house, whatever they call it in the States for the summer. Now, the thing I love about this film is, one, it's the cast. So we have Steve Carell playing I'm pardon my French, the bastard of a boyfriend. And it's very fresh because Steve Carell is a comedic actor most of the time. And to see him being this really kind of selfish, self-centered guy who really just is a bastard. It's the best way to describe him.
You can't emphasize that more.
Yeah. So Toni Collette plays the mum, and
right.
she was most recently in Nightmare Alley.
Yes.
Alison
She's great.
Janney plays one of the neighbors.
Jesus, some
and
cast.
we have Sam Rockwell.
Oh, wow, the
and
man.
Yes,
I love
him.
Sam Rockwell. And so basically,
Yeah.
the kid Duncan goes to this place and he's very lonely. Like, it starts off this question, and they're in the car, and Steve Carell's character goes, "So, what would you rate yourself, Duncan?" "I have a 10. He goes, I think he's like, I think I'm a 6. And he goes, "Really? I think I'm more of a 3." And and it's just this kind of like, and this kid Duncan, he's shy, he's got no friends, and basically, one day he kind of goes out and he wanders into this water park, who's staffed by Sam Rockwell, and basically Sam Rockwell takes pity on this kid, and kind of takes him under his wing, gets him to become like an employee there, and he kind of just lightens up. And it's just this whole story about this kid kind of getting to grips and kind of realizing that he is better, his self-worth is more than he thinks.
That's nice.
And it's such a lovely film with such a lovely story, and the characters are just so well written. Like Jim Rash and Max Faxon, they've clearly, had some love and care for this script. And it's just the music and everything. It's so good. I'll admit, I've watched it again recently. Over the years, you feel less and less connected to the characters, so your opinion of it. Yeah, you are. And it becomes a bit less, okay, I don't really relate to these characters as much, but I can still appreciate how it's such a lovely film. And honestly, and it's now on Disney Plus as part of the Fox merger, and it's under Star in the UK.
It's on Prime as well.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on Prime.
It's on Prime as well.
Yeah.
Don't give money to that show. So, yeah, I rewatched it on Disney Plus, but it's such a lovely story, and I honestly can't remember how I came across it. I genuinely think I just saw a trailer on YouTube, and I was like, "Hey, that looks good." I mean, it is a trailer. Like, I think I saw it the year after it was released. Like, I never knew it was in cinemas. I had no idea about it. And I just watched it, and it honestly, it made me love Sam Rockwell as an actor. And
is it one of those films that kind of hit you at just the right point in time?
Oh yeah, it hit me right in the sweet spot for like me relating to that film. And it's honestly, if you have the chance, The Way Back, it's a lovely little film. That's the best way I can describe it, and I don't think it gets as much love as it deserves.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Cal.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
So my second choice, and then after this we'll go on to the news. My second choice is I picked this film because I recently saw Parallel Mothers, which is another film by Pedro Almodovar, Spanish filmmaker.
Oh, Almodovar. Yeah.
And
I have interesting thoughts about him as a director.
What was that?
He has interesting.
I have
thoughts
interesting
about
thoughts about him as a director. Yeah.
He's made a bunch of strange films. And
so the thing with Almodovar is that he basically learned cinema as he was making it. So his early films are absolute garbage, and it's only later on when he starts actually learning how to make things and get slightly good.
Well, it's because after I saw Parallel Mothers, which I wasn't that big a fan of, critically, and Penelope Cruz is up for an Oscar for it, I just think didn't really work for me in terms of like what it was trying to say. And it took me back to a film he made in 2019 called Pain and Glory, which you and I saw, Kyle, together, actually.
Yeah. I love that.
It's such a good film. Which is, on basic plot, is very simple. Antonio Banderas plays a middle-aged film director who's kind of reflecting on his life, and the film has like a dual plot of flashbacks to his life as a child, sort of actually finding, like, because his mother has recently died, he's sort of really thinking about her a lot and like what she went through to raise him, and also dealing with him discovering his own sexuality as well. And we cut to the present day where he's kind of lost himself because his mother has died, and he says, and Antonio Banderas delivers this line so well in the film, where he's just like, "I don't think I ever got over my mother dying," and it's just it's so sad. And it's literally like, I think it's been like a year since she passed, and it's him basically still having to come to terms with that, while also trying to do a tour of a film he made years ago, and it's an anniversary is coming up. And meanwhile on this tour, he kind of finds a pastime in smoking heroin, And there's all, as you do in Madrid. And there's also a play that's also kind of going on with someone he used to know, and that's also kind of bringing back old feelings, and it all really comes together in a really amazing. Do you remember the ending of this film, Kyle? Don't spoil it. But do you remember the ending of this film?
Yes, I think I do. Yes.
He's struggling, but he's saying
no.
yes.
I'm thinking it's the ending, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it.
The camera kind of moves.
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Is it a train station?
Yes, there's a train station scene. The ending to this film alone is like, oh my god! Like what he's done is
very
so
good.
clever, and it's just I don't even want to even give a hint at what it's kind of doing at the end. But it's,
did you know that, like, because he's like, I remember watching some of the interviews with Almodovar while the movie was coming out. Did you actually know that it's loosely based on his life? Like, it's very biographical, this movie.
Yeah, I have heard it's very biographical.
Autobiographical.
And that's very true. Especially I think the stuff in the past with the childhood plot is very close to kind of what he went through.
Smoking the heroin.
Smoking the heroin, I'm not too sure about, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I would not be surprised.
No. But Antonio Banderas, he was up for an Oscar for this film the year it came out. Obviously, that was the year Joaquin Phoenix won. It kind of overshadowed everyone, but he was so good. And I think if you go back and look at those nominees again, I would be like, you know what? See, if I was an Academy member, I probably would have voted for him.
Do you know what?
Because he's just giving such a really human and really just sad performance.
Yeah.
It's the best thing.
It's kind of sad seeing Uncharted after that, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's kind of what brought, after Parallel Mothers in January and then seeing Uncharted, I'm like, no, you Pedro and you Antonio need to get back together and make something good. Yeah.
Maybe Antonio Banderas is taking that, smoking
heroin, doing it on the set of Uncharted. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised
because he did sound drunk.
I think he gave it to all the writers and directors.
But yeah, sorry, I don't. Pain and Glory. Trust me, it's an excellent film. One of the best of 2019 when I saw it. And it's I really need to go back and watch it again because I loved it so much. And it's not on anything streaming here in the UK. So you probably have to rent it.
I remember for a brief period. I think it was on Sky Cinema.
Damn.
It was on Sky Cinema for a while. That was the only time I saw it on any sort of streaming.
But I think it's also, just to kind of round up here, it's one of those films that will hit a lot of people in a lot of different ways, just in terms of loss, in terms of even just like, memories of your own family members, and also the whole aspect of him trying to find his sexuality and also dealing with addiction. There is a lot going on in Pain and Glory, and one excellent title too. So that's my second choice.
But it's a really good film. I loved it.
Kyle's seen it too, so you can back me up.
Yeah, I can.
I'm gonna have to watch it now. I feel left out. Okay, so we're doing the news now.
Anyway, we're gonna go to the news.
Yes, we're gonna take a break from the main topic today, and Kyle is gonna deliver us a ton of news. So we're gonna try and go through. So
insert the jingle.
Yes.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to the news with Kyle. You can put a wee jingle, I don't mind.
Okay.
I don't want to get bullied.
Wonderful.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm glad the editing's in your hands.
Yeah.
Right, what is first, Kyle?
So, I think we'll get the big one out of the way. Keanu Reeves has been revealed as Batman.
Move on, next one.
The BAFTAs.
The BAFTAs, yes.
The BAFTAs were last night, and I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it either. I was in another country, so...
Oh, yeah, you had the excuse. So it was hosted by Rebel Wilson.
Nice.
She hosted it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
I don't know if she should have. I from what I heard, I don't believe her jokes landed very well.
Very interesting. I feel like her... Well, actually, I don't really know much of her as a comedian or anything like that. What I've seen her in a bunch of films, she has been quite funny. But I feel like a lot of, like old British people wouldn't find her that funny.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I would say so.
She might have been better suited for an Oscar host.
Yeah, I mean, they've got enough Oscar hosts. Yeah, right, insane.
Anyway,
so the BAFTAs. So I mean,
they give us a big hint of what's going to happen. They give us a big hint,
and there's not too much surprising happening here
from what we talked about in our
most
first episode.
Most wins went to June, I think.
Well, for all the technical stuff.
Yeah, for all the technical stuff. Obviously, happy with that. So we're going for the big ones. So, Best Picture. best film, technically. Power of the Dog.
Yes, no
Okay,
surprise.
no surprise there.
Oh, nice.
Outstanding
That's
British
the one
film.
you guys predicted.
Yeah, so outstanding British film went to Belfast,
Of
which
course.
I'm quite happy
No
about.
surprise.
House of Gucci?
Sorry, what? Look how many nominees there are, though. There's like 10 in that.
House of Gucci is
Yeah,
a British film?
Yeah, because I think it has to be produced by a British studio, I think. Is how it works, or directed by someone British, or both. It has to be one or the other. So,
leading actress, Joanna Scanlon,
yes,
won for After Love.
Yeah, obviously, all the actresses who were nominated in the BAFTAs, none of them have got an Oscar nomination, which is, I think, is a first ever that not one of them has made the Oscar nomination. Very
kind of
strange.
odd.
However, Joanna Scanlon should have been up for an Oscar, in my opinion, and I'm actually really happy she won. She was amazing in After Love.
That's great. Leading actor, Will Smith.
Yep,
for King
no surprise,
Richard.
like we said.
Yeah. King Richard.
He won the SAG as well, so it's pretty much locked that he's going to win the Oscar.
Supporting.
By the way, got pretty weirded out. It turns out they translated the title of King Richard to the Wilson effect in Spain, so that was odd.
The Wilson effect.
The Wilson.
Yeah, it's just weird. A weird thing.
bizarre.
I saw. It's like, okay.
Supporting actress
Ariana DeBose for
for
West Side Story.
Story.
Of course, no surprise.
Supporting actor,
Nice.
Troy Coster for Coda.
Yep, he won the SAG, no surprise.
Yep. Director, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog.
Yeah, remember we were having that debate when we were talking about who was going to win director, and I said that I think she was going to take director for that.
Yeah. I just wanted to say I love foreign film category.
Oh, so
they
dumb.
describe it as the category is film not in the English language.
And it's just so.
What?
so it's because it's because
That
the
is the
BAFTAs.
most British thing.
It's a
That is
British
the most
institute.
British thing.
So
Isn't it?
no, it's because
How up
it's so
yourself do you
dumb.
have to
No,
be?
but it's because it's a British institute, right? So if they say foreign film, a foreign film would be an American film, and they don't want to put them in the same category as like
Yeah,
Japanese films
there's-
or Korean films or French films or
The
whatever.
Oscars not do
yeah,
that.
but
for
there's
British
films
too.
done in other countries that.
No, they say
Wait,
foreign
actually,
language
that's
film.
true.
Anyway, we're
Alright.
just talking about crap, whatever.
Film not
Okay.
in the English language. Drive My
Yeah,
Car.
no surprise.
I'm gonna go original screenplay. Licorice Pizza.
Yep. Mhm.
Adapted
to be fair, just on the original screenplay thing, I don't think Licorice Pizza is going to win it. Well, it might, but I think they'll give it to Belfast because they don't have that
Yes.
British film category in the Oscars, so they want to give it
It
something.
needs to be.
That's
It needs
true.
to be Belfast. Yes. Adapted
That's true.
screenplay. Coda. Now I know you were surprised, but I swear I mentioned in the Oscars that I think they would have given it
It's
to Coda.
just so annoying because when you look at the other 4 nominees, it's like all those screenplays were so much better.
Yeah.
And plus, also, this film already exists in a French format. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
Anyway, move on.
I really don't like it when they give it to adapted screenplays to movies that already exist.
And then
'Cause it's not the same as adapting it from like a book or a a play, even. You know, it's just
so a bunch of the technical ones went to June.
Yeah.
Casting, West Side
Unsurprisingly.
Story.
That's not an Oscar. That is not an Oscar, though. That's not a category in the Oscars. I think there's a really big push to make it a
Casting. Oh,
category.
that's
What?
true.
Casting, yeah. 'cause
They should. Yeah, I
They
think
should
casting
make it one.
be.
It's actually quite...
Yeah, they
Um,
should.
I mean, West Side
It's
Story just would have won it because they cast foreign people.
Yeah, they didn't cast white people to play Latin Americans.
They didn't hire a canning company.
Yeah.
That's for the casting improvement.
Costume design went to Cruella,
Interesting.
and No Time to Die won for best editing.
Yeah, not up for the Oscars for editing, though, which is quite interesting.
It is interesting.
That they gave that a win and they didn't even, and the
Anyway,
Oscars didn't recognise it.
That's the BAFTAs. So give me some predictions for the Oscars.
Yes, I think things are quite clear what's going to happen in the Oscars now.
I think so as well. Anyway, we're going to move on. Some Warner Brothers delays. Now, we have some news here. So some of these are quite minor. Some of them have actually been moved up. Some of them are quite drastic. So we've got Aquaman 2 has been delayed from December 2022 to March 17th, 2023. This is probably likely due to Avatar 2 being released on the same day.
You mentioned
Predictable.
Lewis.
We all
a
knew
while
this was
back.
gonna happen.
Yeah, you did mention it.
I mean, this has been lying. These two films have been lying together for ages.
It was a game of chicken.
I mean, Avatar was not moved. No, Avatar would not move. Black
Moving
Adam has been pushed back from July 22nd. I keep saying July 22nd. July 2022 to October 21st, 2022. So still coming out this year. DC League of Super Pets pushed back from May 2022 to July 29th,
Really looking forward
2022.
to
It's
that
only
No. Oh no.
Only a couple of months. Wonka, the Charlie Chocolate Factory prequel,
Which I forgot existed.
pushed back from March 2023 to December 15th, 2023.
You must be thinking this would be quite a Christmassy film then.
Well,
It's a musical. It's a musical.
Is it?
Yes, it's a musical. Timothy, we're going to see Timothy sing.
Oh.
I saw a lot of there's a lot of shoots and there's a lot of fake snow.
Yes, so there you go.
Maybe that made sense.
Yeah.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods has been moved up and now premiere on December 16th, 2022 instead of mid 2023.
But that's coming out
Yeah.
close to Black Panther, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Avatar 2. It's like a few days from Avatar 2.
Yeah, but nobody cares.
No, guys, do never underestimate James Cameron. He will kill your any other film.
I'm saying nobody cares about Shazam.
Oh, you like the first one?
I like the
did,
first
I
one.
know.
I'm looking forward to the second one. I'll probably watch that instead of Avatar, honestly.
It's not like $1 billion movie.
No, true, it's not.
Meg 2 will premiere on August 4th, 2023. Fantastic. And to be honest, the first one was funny because it was so bad.
It went on too long.
Big news. The Flash moving from November 2022 to June 23rd, 2023.
Yeah, that's the interesting
That's the big one.
That is the interesting one.
Yeah, obviously, I had to move it away because Black Panther 2 is obviously going to be a massive hit, so I had to get it away that. Couldn't really go to December because we had Avatar 2.
Shazam.
And Shazam now is taking that. And now, obviously, March, the slot was taken up by Aquaman now, so, was it June, July, sorry, did you say? July, so July,
Summer
big
release.
hot summer release. Obviously, we've theorised about the reason they're doing this is for Discovery take over Warner Brothers. They want to make it look. They don't want to have all their eggs in one basket in 2022. They want to kind of spread the load over to 2023.
Make it look like the new
looks like look at our leadership. We're doing great.
This film is the DC Morbius. I swear.
The Flash.
Yeah, for being delays.
In terms of delays.
For delays.
So many delays.
I mean, honestly, quality could be the same. I mean, saying that Morbius could be a masterpiece. We don't know. Anyway, moving on. Deadpool. Oh, no. Deadpool 3 has found its director in Free Guy's Sean Levy.
We already know what Cal thinks about this movie. I mean, come on.
Deadpool.
I'm pretty sure we know what most of the people are going to think about this movie. Yes, so Sean Levy, who directed Free Guy and the Adam Project, which we'll speak about later, is set to direct this MCU film, obviously, set in the universe. He's had a lot, well, we don't know that yet, it's rumoured to be. So he's had a lot of experience with Ryan Reynolds. I've liked his two films he's done recently. We'll get on to Adam Project later.
Yes.
So I have hope in this film, but also it's the Deadpool films.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
have
feel
as
like
much
Sean
hope.
Levy. Obviously, you talk about his relationship with Ryan Reynolds and stuff like that. I feel like it's quite a safe option.
Yeah.
I think
to
it is
have
a safe
him.
option. Yeah. So we've got that interesting. We'll see how it goes. Last bit of news, a bit sad. William Hurt, acclaimed actor, has passed away at the age of 71. Now, he's best known for his Oscar-winning performance in 1985's Kiss of the Spider-Woman. Most people nowadays will know him as General Ross from the MCU. Possibly believe we actually might see him in She-Hulk.
Oh, really?
So I
So
think
it's the last role?
I think his last role will be.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure I saw something.
Right.
I know that Abomination's in it, and I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw something about the Abomination talking about.
I've
It's
already
great to work with
shot
him
it. It's
again.
weird he wouldn't be in it, honestly.
Yeah, it's all done.
Well,
very very sad.
It
He was a really good actor.
No, if you guys haven't seen A History of Violence, which also has Viggo Mortensen in it, William Hurt's only in that film for like 10 minutes, and he got an Oscar nomination for it.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's
because
incredible.
his role in that film is he's got this really sinister, aura around him, and just his performance, and even that brief 10 minutes kind of sums up William Hurt in a really great way. He was a great talent, and he had multiple Oscar nominations and a win on to his name. So it's sad. It's sad that he's gone.
And that's the end of the news.
Right, so now with the news all done, we're going to go back to our Hidden Gems discussion. And we're going to go with Gonzalo with your last pick of today.
Okay, well, this is kind of a controversial film for the reason that I am.
And Speed Racer
not sure
wasn't.
No, this case, I'm not sure it's that much of a hidden gem, but it's a film I haven't really heard talk of since it came out, and it's from a director I really like. So James Mangold's Le Mans '66. So again,
okay.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. So it's a film. Again, it kind of had a bit of like buzz around it when it came out, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it much. And when it comes to like Mangold's films, like people talk a lot about Logan and like some of his previous films, but no one really seems to mention this one. And for me, I hate biopics. I am a person who does
Join
not
the
like
club, man.
historical dramas. But yeah, really, really not a big fan of biopics. But this film absolutely did it for me. It tells an incredibly compelling story about passion and craft and motivation, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat for the whole thing. It's really weird because it's a racing film where like most of the racing doesn't happen up until the end of the film. There's a ton of character work. There's a ton of just building relationships and explaining what the actual atmosphere where these characters are in, and like the importance that they have and the relevance that they have to history, and you just get to know them a lot. And oh my god, it's just a roller coaster ride from beginning to end. And like I said with Speed Racer, Manigault absolutely nails speed. Speed is not a thing that is easy to show in a film. You can always show something going fast, but to get you in that driver's seat and get you feeling like you're going 200 miles an hour, I think that's fast. I don't know miles. It's incredible. It's an amazing feeling. And I was lucky enough to actually catch this film. I wasn't really interested in it much, but one of those weekends when I was with my girlfriend back in Dundee, and we were like, hey, you want to watch a movie? Yeah, let's see what's out. And this was out. She was really into it. I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a go. We had the time of our lives, and I've seen it 3 or 4 times since.
Wow.
It's just an amazing film. And again, I don't like historical drama. I do not like biopics. This film just does it for me. It's like the perfect way of framing that kind of story. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. This was released 2019, the year before everything went to shit.
It was a Best Picture nominee in the year it was released, and I think it actually did win. You're talking about the racing stuff. It did win editing, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it did because it's a really edited-y,
it's
for a better term, film.
It's a really good film. I really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. The acting, incredible. Matt Damon, Christian Bale.
Yeah, Matt Damon, man. You know, sometimes you always kind of just, it's Matt Damon. He's just like, oh, whatever. But Martian and that, he really gave it his all in that film.
He did not seem like himself in this movie. He completely mimetized himself with the character, and it's incredible because he had Christian Bale, who literally lost like his entire body weight, I think, for this character.
He does lose his weight.
I think he just loves to do it.
I mean, Matt Damon, We Bought a Zoo, artwork, art. That was a really good pick. I really enjoyed that film, but I don't think as many people have seen it who I think will love it.
No, and also Mangold now doing Indy 5 coming out next year, you know, and if you really want to see how good a director he is at doing, you know, high octane, visceral stuff, you know, that's a great choice.
Gives me confidence, honestly.
Yeah,
gives me confidence.
Nice pick.
That was a good pick. I enjoyed that.
Kyle, what is your final pick of tonight?
My final pick of tonight is one of my favourite films from last year.
I think it was delayed because of COVID and all that.
COVID.
Yeah, last year. It was last year. Whatever. Right.
Riders of Justice, which is a film by Banderas Thomas Jensen and starring Mads Mikkelsen, who's just one of my favourite actors at the moment. He's honestly, he was in 2 of my favourite films last year. And Riders of Justice basically follows Mads Mikkelsen's character from him and his daughter and his wife kind of live together. Now, Mads Mikkelsen's character is serving army. Yes, he's serving army.
He's coming home.
He's coming home, and basically one day his wife and his daughter go out into the town, and they go out via the subway, and an accident occurs, and sadly the wife passes away or dies. You know,
Oh, damn.
And basically there's this little side plot at the start where this guy, who's this kind of a data scientist, sort of speak, is basically kind of figured out this formula that was able to like predict things that were going to happen. Okay, predict deaths, and he comes to Mads Mikkelsen and basically says that this incident wasn't an accident, and you know there is somebody responsible for behind this death, and then he basically goes on a vengeance mission. And they get this little kind of wee group of like a bunch of nerds, a bunch of computer nerds
who all like are looking to probability and things like that.
It's like the probability, like this guy was in the train and he's a crime lord who's working for this guy, and the film is so good. in the story, but the characters in this really shine. Because you have Mads Mikkelsen's character, who's this really emotionless army lieutenant, whatever he is. You have his
really close stuff, kind of.
very much.
That's it.
You have his quite extremely emotional daughter now, who almost blaming herself for the death because she was the one who was running late, and then like the car broke down, so they had to go to the train. And then you've got all these computer nerds.
And it's also like actually a really funny film as well.
There's a lot of funny scenes.
It sounds
in
dark, but it's very funny.
It is very funny, and I'm not going to give everything away, but the story, it concludes nicely in the sense that it's not going. That you think you've got like a certain template of a film, and then it kind of twists it and turns it on its head. And you're generally sitting there going, wait, what? I was kind of like, I thought for like half the film, I thought it was a very much, I could see the beginning, I could tell you where the end's going to be. And then it just flips. And I was sitting there going like, that is incredible. Because there's so many films, I think, follow what they were going to do, the basic template.
Yeah.
And then this film decides to flip it. And it's
hard as well to flip something.
I should say it is
expectations in the third act into it well.
Oh yeah, and this one did it fantastic. I mean, I should state that it is a Dutch film. It's another foreign film, and it just stood out, and it was just incredible. And I mean, I remember just leaving that cinema of Lewis going, I can't believe that that was a great film. Mads Mikkelsen really gives up his all in this film. Like, we saw Another Round first.
Really good actor.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, he can't top this. And I went, and then we saw Round of Justice, and I was like, that was pretty good as well. That was incredible.
Is he acting in Dutch in this film?
Yes,
or is
he's in his native tongue.
Everything.
That's the incredible thing with that's an incredible thing with foreign actors that most people forget, is that they know at least 2 languages. Like, it's hard enough acting in your own language, much less putting on an actual shit.
Yeah. What was it?
God damn it. You guys
Hi.
froze again. I'm sorry. I can
You
hear
can
you.
hear us now,
Sort of. Not really.
Hi.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
Frozen. Yeah, I was just saying, like, it's tough enough already, like, acting in your native tongue, but actually acting in a foreign one.
Oh yeah,
that just elevates the actor to the next level.
Shows why Mads is one of the best working today.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, there's a really good thing in that film where it's like all about, you don't really see a lot of films where, not that I've seen, where they kind of go into this whole idea of, probability and this idea of coincidence, stuff like that, and how they can sort of merge into something else. What's so funny?
I just want to say, I just looked at Lewis's phone, and he's clearly got the film up that he's next going to talk about.
Yeah.
I read 2 actors' names, and I guess what film you're going to talk about, and I went, he's not talking about that film.
Oh, what do you think we're talking about?
What do you think?
What?
I saw Willem Dafoe, and I was like, Oscar Isaac, and I was like, he's not doing the card counter, is he?
Oh, of course, the card counter.
I genuinely looked at that and I saw those 2 names and my heart skipped a beat there. And then I saw... anyway,
that's Riders of Justice.
Riders of Justice. If you get a chance, please watch it. It's incredible. Anyway.
Yes, my third film and final film of today. It is not The Card Counter.
Oh,
thank God.
Scared me.
It is another biopic, right? Because Gonzalo, we've talked about this before. You and I both, well, like you said today, are not fans of biopics. I think they're really stale and really predictable, and you know what they're going for. They're going for that Oscar bait, blah blah blah, right? Yeah. And it's also like the reason I liked King Richard so much.
Yeah,
is because that was quite a really entertaining take on a really stale genre, I think. But another really entertaining take on a stale genre is Julian Schnabel's At Eternity's Gate, which is the Vincent van I could be really pretentious here and try and pronounce his name the real way or just the Western way. Vincent van Gogh. It's a biopic, a very, I guess, really experimental biopic on the obviously the one of the world's most famous artists, and it is not your stereotypical let's go through the tragedy and life of Vincent. Willem Dafoe plays Vincent van Gogh, and he was nominated for an Oscar for this actually, but no one really gave him the time of day. And he is actually he's so good because Willem Dafoe. I mean, what more can you say about him? You know, he can literally do everything.
Amazing.
He can be from 1 second the Green Goblin being absolutely terrifying and really entertaining, and then playing this tragic, genuinely tortured artist. And it goes into obviously, it uses the cinematography in a way that embodies a lot of Vincent's brushwork and color. And there's a really distinct scene where he's painting these yellow trees, and the shot approaches this scene. It's in black and white, and then click, it goes boom into this really vibrant color, and you're like, whoa! And that's really kind of showing you that's what his painting does to people, and it's like, whoa, this really vibrant, colorful experience that his paintings can convey. It's actually, like we talked about, Mads Mikkelsen is in this film for 5-10 minutes, who plays this priest, because Vincent was obviously a very religious man, as well as someone who was tortured mentally, had suffered a lot of mental illness, and Mads plays this preacher who he has this conversation with that's very similar to the conversation like Jesus Christ and Pontius Pilate, which actually Willem Dafoe played Jesus Christ and did that scene quite similarly with David Bowie in The Last Temptation of Christ. But anyway, it's sort of like he's
That's
confessing
nice
all his problems to Mads Mikkelsen, who, once again, he's in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, I love him. But yeah,
it steals the show.
It's and Oscar Isaac plays a fellow artist, Paul. Oh, how do you pronounce his last name? Paul Gauguin. Another post-impressionist artist who's also very famous and was at the time more successful, earned more money.
Okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a
very influential to Van Gogh's
in
paintings
terms
as
of
well.
just the way it's
You
filmed.
can see it in the brushwork.
Yeah, in terms of the way it's filmed, it's a very weird film. It's a really interesting take. The camera does things you're like, what? I've never seen the camera do this before. It gets right up in people's
VR.
faces, and it would be actually, you know what? It'd be a crazy VR experience. Let me tell you. The score is great. It is such a strange film. Once again, not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not your typical biopic. It's jumps around a fair bit. It but it does cover a lot of his art and his life and a lot of his mental state at the time. And but it doesn't. It's not like,
for me, that's the thing with biopics, they're obsessed with showing every little step.
It doesn't. I think
famous and known and stuff, but it doesn't need to. What a biopic needs to do is get you to understand the person. That's all you really need from a biopic.
It really does only cover
because you know the icon,
Yeah,
you
of
know
course.
the idea of the historical person.
You know
but
the history.
understand the actual person behind the character. That's what a biopic does. Well, for me at least, basically.
But yeah, it only covers a few years of his life. It doesn't go into in detail. And I really
Not the birth to death.
exactly, no, all that stuff, and a long-winded 5-minute death scene or something like that. It does not do any of that. But it is a really interesting film. And I really I think it's on Netflix. I think I last saw it on Netflix. It might be gone now, but that was a while ago, to be fair.
Prime Video.
Oh, that's just to rent.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
sorry.
if you want to rent it. So yeah, that's my last pick. Is At Eternity's Gate.
Oh,
so
that was 3 hidden gems.
yeah, well,
No,
nine
sorry,
hidden gems, and quite a variety. We've got comic booky films and anime
really
style
did.
films and biopics and all sorts.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just to kind of round off the show, we'll kind of give quick reviews of some of the latest films out right now. And Kyle, what do you want to start with?
I want to start with Phantom of the Open.
Okay.
Okay, so
Now, just to clarify, the Phantom of the Open doesn't open till what day is it this Friday? What's the date this Friday?
is it this
19th?
18th?
18th. It opens this Friday in the UK anyway, on the 18th of March.
Okay.
So this is a scoop. So me and Lewis saw Phantom of the Open on Monday. Now I think we were seeing The Duke
A few weeks prior.
a few weeks prior. We were watching The Duke in cinema, and during the trailers, the trailer came on for Phantom of the Open. And me and him just looked at each other and went, that looks like a lovely, fun film. Let's book it. And the Phantom of the Open follows Mark Rylance playing Maurice Flintcroft.
Flintcroft, yes.
Who is a gentleman working at the ship docks, is a crane operator, and he just, his son, who's like a higher up within the same shipyard, basically says, you're going to get let off. And he goes, right, I need to figure out another career. And one night, he stumbles on the new TV at the time, because obviously this is set in the
70s.
Yeah. And he watches the British Open. the golfing tournament, and he goes, "You know what? Let me have a crack on that." And
this is all based on a true story.
This is all based on a true story, and it's basically about.
I love it.
It's basically about Maurice Funtoff trying to play in the Open, and not having ever played golf ever. And it is honestly such a fun film.
It's very funny.
It's so funny. It's directed by Craig Roberts, who.
It looks so unbelievably British.
It's so British.
I'm just like
it's so English.
It's so British. Now, Craig Roberts, I know as a kid from Tracy Beaker way back.
No way.
He was an actor in Tracy Beaker. He's in.
There you go.
He's in this.
I remember his face.
Yeah,
I can see a picture of him. Oh my god.
He's in this Amazon Prime TV show called Red Oaks, which I can't recommend highly enough. It's incredible. I mean. He's quite young. He's 7 years older.
You'd think an older guy would have directed this film. Just how
they got Simon Farnaby. Isn't he from Horrible Histories?
Yes, he is. You know the German folk. Yes, and this is such a fun film.
And Sally Hawkins.
I mean, everybody in this film does a fantastic job in the acting, but it's such a sweet comedic film, and I'm obviously not going to give too much away because it's not come out yet. But honestly, if you get a chance, go and see this. What would you?
Well, I'm just going to go into it a bit. It's actually funny that we saw this, we saw a trailer for this during The Duke, because it's very similar to The Duke and just how it's a very staunch British comedy. But it has obviously, like The Duke, a lot of heart too. There is the way it's filmed, it kind of goes into very weird, stage dreams that are kind of plays and things like that are actually really strange and weird. But I kind of liked. The golfing scenes are definitely the highlight, which I really wish there was actually more of. There's actually, I kind of wish there was more golf in it, because that's kind of where the highlights were for me.
Yeah.
But obviously, at the heart of it, this is obviously a story about family. And then, the classic chasing your dreams sort of motif. And it's one of those films that's just sweet. It's nice.
It's so funny because the subplot is his sons, the twins, are disco dancing champions, and I genuinely thought that was made for the film until at the end it shows you photos of his sons as disco dancing champions.
For what we know, it's pretty accurate to what happened.
It seems pretty accurate.
That was good.
Give it a rating.
The kind of thing where the wackiest ideas are the most basic.
Exactly.
Out of 10, I'm gonna I think for me it's kind of on par with The Duke. There is some tropes that goes into. I'm like, we're doing this,
right?
Which is kind of annoying. But and I could have done with more golf scenes, in all honesty. But it's sweet. It's really innocent. It has a lovely message at the end, and some. I'm going to give it 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Nice.
I am going to go for 7.5.
Ooh, we're going.
I know, because I was
controversial.
I know, because I was thinking. So I was comparing it to The Duke, because it's very much like you said, like The Duke.
Yeah.
And for me, I like this more.
Just a little bit more.
I like this a wee bit more. I think I love the character of Maurice Funtoff a wee bit more, because I thought he was slightly funnier, and he just, both characters of the Duke,
they're both underdogs.
Yeah, and they just don't care. But for me, this one just kind of it just hit a wee bit more.
Okay,
because
fair.
he just didn't stop.
He
just kept going. But like I said, they're fun. They're nothing. You're not going to see these as Best Picture nominations.
No,
that's good. Yeah, but that's good though, because if you like this genre, you already got 2 hits this year.
Yeah, we really have. So I'm going to give Phantom of the Open a 7.5.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly talk about Red Rocket, which came out just on what Friday was it there? The 11th. Friday the 11th. And it's directed by Sean Baker, who his last film was The Florida Project. Have you guys seen that?
Is that another?
No,
Willem
but
Dafoe
I saw it.
Willem Dafoe, yes. He was also nominated for an Oscar for The Florida Project.
I just know it's a Willem Dafoe film.
Yes, similar in vein to that, dealing with themes of American poverty and really showing you a really kind of derelict, kind of sad part of America, which you always think of America as this obviously very rich country, but a lot of it is kind of like a third world country, and you get to see that very
a lot of costumerism with this director. He really likes
he likes
framing the everyday and the
he loves
the
to
struggles of
highlight poverty and highlight kind of the flaws with capitalist state basically, and kind of what it can do to the most unfortunate in society. But yeah, so Red Rocket. You guys can Google what that term means in Urban Dictionary because it has its own meaning. But I'll let you do that yourselves. Red Rocket stars. It tells the story of aptly named washed-up porn star Mikey Saber, as he kind of heads back to his hometown in Texas City. And he's going back to his estranged wife, who also used to be a co-star of his, named Lexi, and she doesn't want to see the sight of him. She's like, "Oh, you turned your back on us to go to LA and venture off and do more parody porn films," which there's a really big kind of funny joke about what some of these parodies were called. And Simon Rex plays Mikey, and he's this really charming, charismatic guy that you kind of, at first you think, oh, he's just like this just kind of lost puppy in a way. He's just like, you really want to help him because he's just so funny and so annoyingly likable. And so Lexi lets him in for a few days and is like, right, but you need to find a job, you need to help pay the rent, stuff like that, if you want to stay here. And so he does find a job, and he kind of goes back to his ways of selling weed as he did in high school. Mm-hmm. And you think, right, okay, you can kind of tell where this is going to go. It's just this, it's going to be a really sad story about this washed up star. No.
I'm sorry, I googled the term.
There you go.
This explains the face.
But no, it's not a sympathetic film at all. It's actually, this is quite a dark comedy because that's the name of the Mikey, sorry, goes into a donut shop and finds this girl Strawberry and is immediately thinking of his own business ambitions of what he can do with Strawberry. If you catch my drift. Anyway, what is so good about Red Rocket is it's just, one, really funny, but also I love the fact this a film that subverts your expectations in a way that you think this is going to be a simple sort of sad tragedy of a lost soul or lost star who could have been something in the porn industry, but is actually a film about really bad people. And it's like, it's actually quite interesting that Licorice Pizza came out just there in the UK, because this is a film that clearly shows, he's basically dating a 17-year-old girl in the Strawberry and trying to groom her. And it's like, this is very bad, unlike Licorice Pizza, which is like, oh, look how lovely this is. No. And this is really bad. This is bad.
Just took away the nostalgia goggles in Licorice Pizza, basically.
And you went just look at
actually analyze the situation.
And analyze what's going on here. Anyway, but at the same time, he's obviously, Mikey's got his own business ambitions that he wants to, bring Strawberry in on, and simultaneously he's kind of being, clawed back by kind of the poverty cycle that he lives in. And it's just, it has so much to say kind of just about how kind of, like Parasite did actually a few years ago, and the Florida Project did as well, is that the people who are, really stuck in poverty tend to turn their backs on the others who are in poverty, because it's like a rat race. They're trying to get more money over the other person.
Instead of actually fighting people who are making them suffer, they fight each other.
And there's this kind of like, it's quite good that it's in Texas City because there's this big oil rig there, and it's like, obviously oil is a big symbol of money and stuff like that, and all these people are working around this very big symbol of riches and stuff like that. But it's a film that doesn't go the way you expect. It's very funny, darkly so, and also kind of picks apart, like, as I said, these aren't very sympathetic people, but also they are sympathetic people because you understand the plight they're going through, and it is very sad. But also...
So a bit of It's Always Sunny kind of...
But as soon as money enters the pictures, characters can change on a dime. It's very sad in that sort of way. But Red Rocket...
Give us a rating.
Rating is 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yeah,
wow,
Simon Rex is some revelation, by the way. He's so good in Red Rocket. And it would have actually been quite good to see him get an Oscar nomination, maybe, potentially, at the Oscars this year. But that's Red Rocket.
Reviews, yes. Fantastic.
We'll see.
How can I do...
You can do
Adam Project. Yeah. So Adam Project,
it's
is
a Netflix one.
It's Netflix one. It came out again on the 11th of March, just on Friday there, and it's Netflix big film, and it is Sean Levy, as we were talking about in news. It's his film starring Ryan Reynolds, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Garner, Zoe Saldana, Catherine Keener, and starring Walker Scobell as young Adam, or young Ryan Reynolds in this case. And
as you mentioned, you're a really big fan of the casting, right?
yeah, well, I'll get into that. Basically, the plot of the Adam Project is that Ryan Reynolds, who plays Adam, they've never actually tell their second name. It's just young Adam and big Adam. I think it's like Reed. I think that's like the family name. So Adam Reed. So big Adam, Ryan Reynolds, in the year 2050 is part of the US Air Force, but they have time travel now. And basically, he is in a plot. He's trying to figure out why his wife Zoe went missing.
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah. She went missing in 2018, and he's like, right, I need to try and find her. He ends up crashing in 2022, and he's working with his younger self, young Adam, to kind of get back and figure out the plot of his missing wife. And I just want to state the casting. Oh, they did a good job with the young Adam. This boy is just a young Ryan Reynolds, or he can just act really well and portray a young Ryan Reynolds very well. Like when you're watching it, it's just I think it's a mixture of the director knows he's obviously worked with Ryan Reynolds for Free Guy, so he knows Ryan Reynolds and he knows he's the right Ryan Reynolds. So I think he's just really good in kind of molding this kid to be a young Ryan Reynolds. Some of the times it gets a bit too much. Occasionally, like his like it's too much Ryan Reynolds and the kids. But the interaction between the two of them, incredible. I think it's really funny.
Right, I'm gonna ask a question. See the kid? Is it like he's a carbon copy of this 40-year-old odd Ryan Reynolds, or is he like, oh, this is like the seeds of what this guy is going to become?
No. It's a carbon. Well, it's a bit different. Their humor is a carbon copy. Okay. But like the older Ryan Reynolds realizes what a dick he was as a kid, especially to his mom. Okay. Like, he's so because the thing is that their dad passed away a year before, like prior year before, in a car crash. So young Adam's going really harsh on his mum, and big Adam keeps going, you're gonna regret this in years to come. Like their humor has always been there, but big Adam's kind of like he's like realizing that young Adam's been bullied and all that stuff, and he looks at Ryan Reynolds like, is that what I'm going to become? Am I going to become hot? And am I going to become like cool? Do we get laid in college? Sort of thing.
Yeah. So you get that kind of emotional.
You're just like,
and and it's a fun action film, and if you've seen the trailer, I think I saw the trailer. It's like there's a scene where it's like, oh yeah, I've got this like plasma blade, and he's like, oh, it's a lightsaber. He's like, no, it's not that. And you keep using it, and young Adam goes, it's a lightsaber. Shut up. And the casting's really good. So Jennifer Garner plays the mum, and there's lovely interactions between her, both versions of Adam, because obviously there's so much interaction. And the thing where it kind of dips is the villain. Okay. So the woman who plays the villain again, who did I say? Was it Catherine Keener? Catherine Keener. So she plays the villain, and it's Maya Soren, who is Mark Ruffalo, who plays Dad's business partner, because the Adam Project was actually he founded time travel. Okay. So when he was creating time travel, he called it the Adam Project after his son. Okay. And she's like. It's so confusing. I actually can't remember how she's like the villain. She wants to like basically coin travel for herself. But the issue is, future Maya goes back in time to old Maya to like say like, this is the stock that you have to. She's basically buffing it from Back to the Future. Say, It's also funny because they also reference that from Back. They also like. Young Adam's going, are you here to give me like stocks like from Back to the Future? It's like, no, shut up. It takes Mickey out of itself by quoting other films.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of Ryan Reynolds humor, basically.
Yeah. But one issue I have with it was CGI is a bit wonky in some areas because I referenced Tron Legacy because the young face her, and oh my god, it's bad. Especially it's because they're standing beside each other. Like you're seeing her there, and then you're seeing her digital young self, and you're like, that's bad.
You think it's a case of like budget, or because we've seen people do like,
I don't know. I think they put the budget elsewhere because there's some the fight scenes are okay. The jets that they use are decent. But there's a scene there's one scene when they walked into the thing, and I just literally felt it was like Spy Kids. Like it was like the background of one of those scenes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It just felt like Spy Kids 3, and it lacks a bit. So when I was watching this film, I kept going up and down, up and down, up and down. But then the last bit where I thought they were going to do something, and they didn't.
Right.
And I don't want to say, for spoiler reasons, but it made me actually respect the ending. And I mean, it's completely sealed off.
Does it? You know, it's one of those endings that this makes the whole experience better, sort of thing.
Yes, because you know, there's hints at what they want to do at the beginning.
Right.
You know that they think, you know, we could do this because, you know, we have time travel.
Yeah.
And then at the end they realise, you know, we can't. And you know, it's nice because they don't do it, but then also there's happy endings in some ways.
Yeah.
And
so like the opposite of the
bittersweet.
ending from Deadpool 2, the post-credit ending, right?
Wait, what's that?
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Have a time machine now.
It's-
Let's do wacky shit through time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically the opposite
Okay.
of that, and it was actually a really nice ending. I was actually kind of like,
Oh, are you tearing up?
no, I wasn't tearing up because I was so like
Yeah.
horrified from the
Right.
CGI
Yeah,
like I seen earlier. And you know, the plot's a bit wonky at times. Obviously, it's one of those sci-fi where it's very much like it's like when they in Endgame, they're just like, don't think about it.
It's like
with
Looper
time
or
travel.
something like that, where time travel is like,
Yeah, it's just like
any film with time travel in it
it's not
doesn't
perfect.
is not perfect and never will be
because
perfect.
So they just go.
Yeah, you got
They just go. I don't think about it.
it. Yeah.
So overall, I'm gonna give Alan Project a 7.
That's good.
And
Okay.
it was a good time.
It was good.
If I don't think too much into it, it was a good time.
Yeah, but that's the thing with time travel. As Austin Powers said in Austin Powers 3, just don't think about it and have a good time. Just go with it. With all time travel films.
It had a good amount of Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, and then him occasionally being human, which I actually quite like.
Yeah, so finally, we're going to talk probably the biggest release this
Yeah.
week that showed up on Disney Plus, and that's Pixar's latest, Turning Red. So,
I know.
Okay.
I'm just annoyed
Yeah.
at Disney
but for not releasing this in
for
cinemas.
not releasing
Yeah.
it in
Okay,
cinemas.
yeah.
You
That
were
really,
on. I was
that
on edge
really
when you
caught
did it
me
with
off
Luca.
guard because honestly, I was waiting to see this released in cinemas, and when they dropped it on Disney
Yeah.
Plus, I was like, "Wait, what? It's a Pixar film. You got to release it in cinemas. It's gonna be good."
It's
Yeah, so I'll just quickly go over the plot.
Yeah, sorry, go
So
ahead.
Malin is now 13 years old, and she thinks, you know, she owns the world and stuff like that. She's got a fantastic group of friends. She's this quirky, weird teenager, and all her friends also have these very distinct personalities.
they're all, you know.
And distinct like dresses and things like that. And so everything's going very smoothly for her in life. She's got this infatuation over this boy band called Four Town.
That was
That was very funny. Which is also kind of like, the film's set in 2002, and it's obviously like a throwback to NSYNC and things
I
like
also
that.
found that funny.
Yeah, it's just odd because it's actually kind of semi-autobiographical of the director,
that makes sense.
and that's why they've said it in 2002.
Really hope not.
Well, obviously a bit more fantastical. Anyway, but at the same time as you know, Malin's kind of enjoying her 13-year-old life, she also has a very, very overbearing mother who, you know, wants her to do, you know, A pluses in schools, wants her also to work at this tourist temple that
Their
they,
family run,
that their
yeah.
family run, and basically just her is like mum's perfect little angel and has to always be that way. And
worship the parents.
worship
You know,
the parents. That's their family.
Mayling's
legacies.
job is
Yeah.
to worship her family.
And do everything you can for the parent. And then one day, Malin wakes up and suddenly she's a giant red panda.
Yes, you do.
And so hijinks ensue and all sorts of. I don't really that's kind of the setup. I don't want to go much further
don't
into
go
that.
much further.
But she obviously is like, I can't cut about as a giant red panda. I need to find a way to fix this. And
I mean, we could say she can control
Control it
her
at times,
if she
yes.
controls her emotions. She can become
Yeah,
back to human.
yeah.
I think you can say that.
But the panda is obviously it's this big metaphor for puberty and growing up, and this is also taken very much. This is, you know, about the female perspective and a female
it's
teenager
called Turning
growing up.
Red.
and turning red,
Yeah.
which is, you know, very clearly what it's trying to say. And so she's trying to also deal with her overbearing mother. Well, oh, I'm turning into this completely different being that I don't understand. I don't know what's happening to me, and also trying to maintain the image of Mum's perfect angel, and everything sparks a whole sort of adventure. What did you think of Turning Red, Kyle?
It was a great time.
Yeah,
I had a real. I mean, the animation, Pixar. They are just.
When you have the talent and the budget they do, it's going to be good.
I really love this new kind of like thing they're doing where their style is just going nuts in every movie. Like, because they used to stay really consistent, and now they're just like, let's just adapt the style to the movie and call it quits. It's great.
Luca was very styled to the story. Turning Red's very styled to the story.
Like vintage Italian look.
And honestly, this was actually such a funny film. There's a line, obviously, because like the mother is so overbearing. She's like, "How dare she? She should be respecting her mother." And then the husband goes, "Your mum's on the phone. I'm not here." It's the parallels. Like she refuses to talk to her own mother. And I honestly, I was laughing quite a good bit for this film.
Yeah, just with the animation front, I'm really because Lightyear's coming out later this year. And that's going really photorealistic. Where it's kind of like at the point, it's like, why are you bothering? Yeah, it's like why are you bothering making this animation?
Where they just overdid it. Like, it's nice that you can.
I don't think Soul overdid it.
If we realistic, like I like the
if we can compare Soul to Lightyear,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. But this is a very like I don't even know how to describe the art style in a sense. It's like really kind of cutesy, but also kind of the backgrounds kind of look a bit kind of like maybe like painted in a way or like drawn, but it has a very kind of cartoony
apparently
feel to it.
The director wanted the backgrounds to like be styled into like the backgrounds of cartoons that she was watching around that age kind of thing, where like they're just a painted background kind of thing.
Definitely came across that
so
way.
like there's a lot of work put into the style of this movie, and it shows. It really shows.
But Turning Red has so much to say, obviously, not just about kind of growing up, but about families, about legacy, and I was kind of actually overwhelmed at the amount of stuff it was actually trying to give you. In terms of plot, it seems it's fairly basic in plot. If you get me, it's very typical.
I mean, the most recent, Turning Red and Luca have been basic plots.
Very basic, but I mean, it is what it is. And, well, actually, what did you think of kind of the third act thing that they did?
It was funny.
Right, okay.
It delved off the very contained story.
Yes, it did.
And it kind of felt very much maybe like some higher ups went, we need a bit more. We need a bit more. I say like almost like the Batman. Like, as in we need
exactly. Like at first I was
can't believe I'm comparing Turning Red to the Batman. But like the third act is very like we need a big climax.
At first, exactly. You're like, I was like, oh, why are they doing this? But then it leads to something much more profound in a
that feels
so I was like,
exactly like the Batman, where you're like, oh no,
no,
don't
it is
do this,
exactly like the Batman.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
You
it actually
it.
leads to something really nice.
It's also in the studio.
What? Yeah, it's true. It's also a very similar location, oddly enough. But that's sort of kind of the way the final message of the film is. There's sort of kind of this like legacy of there's just this sort of like you have to kind of stop putting so much pressure on your child and sort of like have to really let them be their own person, which is what it's really getting at. And you do see that when it goes into that third act of what it's
beautiful,
beyond
in every sense.
That's a thing.
All the performances
that's a thing
are
Pixar
great.
always does good, like really well. Just talking about human relationships. That's like their bread and butter.
And I want to say like this is annoying me even more about the whole release. Like how are they looking at this and not going
cinema?
Give it at least a dual release.
They did that for Encanto.
Encanto got a cinematic release.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. What you say about Pixar, just to kind of finish up on that. When you're now looking at how many years has Pixar been around? 1995, I think, is when Toy Story came out. So almost 30 years now. When you look at their entire catalogue of work, you're kind of now seeing they're covering every kind of aspect of the human experience, from like even midlife crisis in The Incredibles to now puberty and Turning Red, even death in Soul. They're going across the board of human experience, and once we're kind of maybe at the 30-year point, they'll have this entire the human life.
Do we know what the next Pixar film is?
It's Lightyear, and then after that, I don't know.
I think they've told us that Disney Plus Day. I think they talked about it or something.
But that is the thing with animation. Like the way they confront it to me is really special because they first find the idea and the human experience they want to talk about, and then they just relate it through metaphors and use animation to just enhance it. You know, it's like it's a way of driving it. It's not, hey, I want to make a cartoon about toys. What feelings can we give them? It's more, hey, I want to talk about jealousy and the struggle to be number one and making friends. And hey, let's just make them toys.
Got quite a bit inside out as well.
Yeah.
Somewhere anyway.
Anyway, review rating. What would you give it?
Oh, I think kind of the plot, although simple, I was just like, at times it's just a bit like we've seen this a lot in terms of like, oh, we're doing this for the finale of the second act, going into like this big thing. So the plot for me was just a bit like, I could take it or leave it. But yeah, in terms of animation, there's generally so much about just like growing up. This film's obviously giving you like about family legacy and so much more. So I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I did, in classic Pixar fashion, I also did tear up at the end. I didn't cry, but I was like, I was tearing up.
I'm the exact same, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, nice.
A fantastic time, and if you have Disney Plus, please give it a watch.
Oh yes, if you have Disney Plus, go ahead, watch it.
So that's the end.
Yes, that is the end of the show today.
Do we get a tease for next week?
Tease, yes, just to kind of, because we finished on Turning Red, next week we are going to be focusing on Pixar Studios and their films, and what our own personal favourites are, and maybe some of our least favourites as well, if we want to go into that. But yes, thank you very much, guys. Thank you for the suggestions, the hidden gems you guys gave us was great.
Pleasure.
So thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
And thank you, Gonzalo.
Pleasure.
And hopefully we'll see you again next week on the Unwanted Opinion podcast. Thank you.
Right. So, have you guys heard of the new Batman theory?
No, tell me about it.
What new Batman theory?
About the Wayne's death.
No.
Right. So this actually comes to me. I'm gonna have to give him a shout out.
Okay.
Oren. Okay. You know who you are.
Oren, yeah.
So he told me about the Batman theory. Okay. And we know the Wayne's death. Obviously, they come out of traditionally it's Zorro.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
it wasn't Batman Begins. It's like cats or something.
Well, no, it was bats. You muppet.
Bats.
Of course, that's why he's scared.
No. In the play he's seeing.
Yeah,
there is a big animal. Yeah. It looks like cats.
Oh
I'm sorry.
God.
Right. Anyway.
Right. Anyway.
It's
So
been a while.
traditionally it's Zorro. Okay. And somebody on Reddit or whatever did a theory where if this is set in 2022, right, and Wayne's death has roughly been 20 years ago. Okay, it's 2002.
Oh no.
There's no Zorro film out.
Yeah.
And somebody calculated that the most likely film that they walked out of was 2002's Scooby-Doo.
Right. Okay.
So they found that film so shockingly bad that they left and got killed.
Okay, you're saying that on air. There's a lot of people our age. This is like the nostalgia thing, like the Star Wars people.
James
and
Gunn,
people will
Scooby-Doo.
defend the first Scooby-Doo film.
James Gunn Scooby-Doo.
They'll defend that film.
I'm
to
not
the dying
saying
days.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying Thomas and Martha Wayne said it.